Welcome to the Bubble Tea Time preview show. My name is Adam, aka Digital Feeling. This week we will be introducing the teams. Also, the first impressions of our analysts have of them. After the impressions, we will give the schedule for the coming weeks, along with the picks for the winners for each matchup. In the following weeks, our team will be reviewing exciting plays, going over strategies that were employed, and catching the viewers up with the standings in the Bubble Tea League. Now, to introduce our panel of analysts for the Bubble Tea League. First up, we have Brian, aka Dekadonu.
Hi guys, I'm Brian, the mid laner for True Heart Destiny. I'm super excited to be here and analyze these games and flame every player in the league except for Elena.
Second, we have Daniel, aka Dans.
Hello, I'm Daniel, the support for True Heart Destiny. I'm just excited to be here.
And of course, Colin, aka Zoidberg MD.
What's up, guys? Glad to be here. I'm the mid laner for Nutter Butter, and I'm looking forward to a good season where I come in second again.
Well, thank you all for joining us today. We will be going down the list as posted in the Bubble Tea League docs. The schedule will be posted at the end of each week's broadcast. There are 10 teams participating in the Bubble Tea League this season, so that means 50 different competitors attempting to get the glory of the championship. So let's get right into it. The first matchup is the Executive Order versus True Heart Destiny. The game will take place on July 7th, 8 p.m. PST. So, will the Executive Order purge the True Heart Destiny's uprising, or will True Heart Destiny inspire a new generation of stands? Colin?
We're standing hard, Adam. We're standing hard. The lineup for Executive Order, we got Pope Panda in the top lane, King Swang Bang roaming the jungle, the Captain Javier holding down mid lane, with Captain Slippers and Noe Godhook Lopez patrolling in the bot. At first glance, this team looks like it's all about the bot side and how much King Swang Bang can snowball Slippers and Noe. On the other side of the rift, we got True Heart Destiny, Tuesday slamming in the top lane, Hugs and Unicorns cruising in the jungle, Deku Donu stomping in the mid lane with Man Butts and Dan's big braining in the bot. I think this is a really interesting team and one that should be a championship contender. This team is going to be all about the butts. They're going to put Tuesday on an island topside with Deku Donu and Hugs and Unicorns, primarily playing to the bot side to help snowball Man Butts.
How do you see the matchup playing between the two teams in specific, Colin?
I think it should be a decent matchup. And looking roll by roll, it's actually fairly close. This game's going to come down to two factors. How well can the captain contain the Deca, and the battle of the bot lanes. Deku Donu has the ability to completely take over games for True Heart Destiny, and I think the captain is really going to have his hands full. He's really going to have to pull something out of his crazy bag of tricks. And in the bot lane, we have two top-tier ADCs battling it out, and at the end of the day, Slippers and Man Butts are even on paper, which means I think that the lane ultimately the game will come down to how well the supports play. Dan's is one of the best planners and game managers in the BTL, and my former teammate Noe, while a bit of a sleeper, is a beast and can pop off at any moment, so it's really going to be a close game.
Wonderful. We will go on from here, not to reveal too many secrets from the Dekadonu and Dan's. So we'll go on to our second match, which is the Student Council versus the Milwaukee Bucks Baby. The game will take place on July 9th, 7 p.m. PST. Will the Student Council is looking to teach the Milwaukee Bucks a lesson, or can the Milwaukee Bucks block the Student Council's chances of success? Brian, what do you think about the teams?
Yeah, this is one of my I've been looking forward to this match ever since we made the schedule. I think it has a lot of storylines running through it. Before we get there, we'll go through each of the teams. The Student Council has a pretty strong roster on paper. Their top laner is Plobe the Warrior. Their jungle is Man Puppet, who's won a couple of these seasons already. Raskutrug is the winningest player in BTL history, manning their mid lane. Digital Feeling in their bot lane, my gracious host, thank you. And then Agent Problems is a newcomer to our league and taking over the support role to help out Digital Feeling. At first glance, I think this team is probably going to be pretty top-sided. They have a really stable mid laner who's proven that she can win in pretty much any scenario. And their bot lane's probably a little volatile. Over the seasons of BTL, I think their bot lane, or at least like Digital Feelings, definitely improved. But I can't really imagine this team not being like pretty top-sided. Plobe is probably going to shake out to be their main carry in most of their games. On the other side of the rift, we have the Milwaukee Bucks Baby. It's one of our legacy team names and has like kind of a pretty beautiful spot in most of our hearts that have played in BTL for years now. The roster has two of the original BTL players and Milwaukee Bucks baby members. The top one of those is Avis Argentea in their top side. They also have a newcomer, C9 Meaty Oats, in their jungle, a newcomer, Wasian Pro, in their mid lane, the Nick Mead manning their ADC spot, and then Chia Snacks holding down the fort in support. At a first glance, I think this one is a really bot side favorite team. The Nick Mead and Chia Snacks could be potentially the best bot lane in the whole league. That said, though, I don't think anybody is really a slouch on this team. Their top side, if Joe is solid or Avis is solid, they can go the distance and be a championship contender as well. One of the things I wanted to point out with this team is they have a question mark in mid lane. Nobody really knows how good Wasian Pro is or isn't. And that's something that might either throw a wrench in their championship chances or be something that pushes them over the top.
So, analysts, I'm going to hand it to all of you. Who do you think will take the victory in this matchup?
I myself will lean towards the Milwaukee Bucks, baby. I think it's going to be entirely dependent on bot lane, and that bot lane is scary.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think it's the Milwaukee Bucks, baby, and I think their bot lane is how they're going to win it. They have a solid mid lane that's just going to hold it down. So.
Yeah, I think personally, Plobe is really strong, and I think their top side on the Student Council is really strong. I'm probably leaning personally towards Milwaukee Bucks, baby, as well, but I think that the Student Council is going to put up a pretty solid fight, and in a world where Plobe gets really far ahead and Man Puppet has like the entire top side unlocked and he can move around on some of his signature picks that impact team fights, there's a world where the Nick Mead can't find the space to operate and the Student Council just kind of runs them over before like their bot lane super strength can like come in handy.
Additionally, for the Student Council, I can see them clutching a victory in the end with a strong performance from our gracious host today, Digital Feeling, as well as his support Asian Problems. And if they manage to, at the very least, hold out against Chia Snacks and the Nick Mead, they can definitely have a chance for a victory.
It sounds like it's going to be an exciting matchup.
Banger,
really excited to see.
Some would say.
An absolute banger, which which will take us to our third match, which is the Good Boys versus Panic in Our Oceans. This game will take place on July 8th at 7 PST. Will the Good Boys bring a wholesome victory back to their fans, or Panic in the Ocean bring awareness to their greatness? Dance?
Well, the Good Boys is, as we all know, in the name, good, right? We have lined their whole team up with Kairosaki Ace in the top lane, defending champ Hungaroni as their jungler, Vid the mid as, you guessed it, mid lane, the Panting Puma as ADC, and Oliver Twist supporting him. I see this team as being very strong top side of the map, but that doesn't mean you can underestimate their bot side. As for Panic in Our Oceans, they have Dropout Bear at the top, Amberlin in the jungle, Sultan mid, Bananas as ADC, and Not Drunk backing her up as support. So to me, this is the highlight match of the week, with the two best top laners in the league, at least on paper, going head-to-head in a barn burner of a match. The Good Boys have strong solo carry threats, but will that be enough to break down Panic in Our Oceans? I don't think so. Dropout Bear is a huge threat for Panic in Our Oceans, and not to mention, Bananas in the bot lane can definitely pop off, given the opportunity. Overall, I will side towards the Good Boys, edging it out just barely, but there's definitely a situation where Panic in Our Oceans can come up with a win.
Yeah, I think those are really great points. This is also, like, these two teams are built really similarly, and I think seeing two styles that could be really almost identical to each other, like going head to head, will be really explosive. Can't wait to see like some top lane duels and how they can impact the map faster than their opponent. I think though, I agree with you that I'm siding towards the good boys in week 1. I think specifically in this team, I think Panic in Our Oceans will have some growing pains. They'll need to make sure they build like some jungle mid synergy and then link that to drop out Bear in the top lane. I think there's a lot of work they have to do before they're like legitimately competitive. I think once we fast forward this, after a couple more analyst desk sessions, we're going to see them trend upwards when Amory or Bananas gets back into the flow of things and Drop Out Bear is able to sync with his team and be the hard carry that they need in the top side. I think this team is really dangerous, but like Dan said, right now I'm siding towards the good boys, who seem to be a little bit more well-rounded and in practice.
Yeah,
Colin?
yeah. I think it's probably the good boys as well. That's also where I'm leaning. As much as I would love to vote for my former teammate Bananas, I think it's probably going to come down to who the harder carry is, and I'm going to lean towards Kurosaki Ace for this one.
All right. Well, looks like that's going to be another exciting match. Very excited to see that one. But however, we got our 4th match lined up, which is the Acid Rabbits versus Second Breakfast. The game will take place on July 9th at 10 p.m. PST. Will the Acid Rabbits melt their competition, or will Second Breakfast have an extra serving of rabbit? Colin, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so playing for Acid Rabbits this season, we got Follow the Wind smashing the top lane, Sopa surfing the rivers in the jungle, Mayan chilling in the mid lane with Aki and Barry Allen rounding off the team in the bot lane. This is another really strong contender for championship this season. Acid Rabbit this year will do well to play through their solo lanes. I think Follow the Wind and Mayan are 2 of the harder carries in the league. And if they can establish lane kingdoms for themselves, the team could go really far. Playing for Second Breakfast this season, we got the Great Flash sitting top, the Bear Rock landing those smites in the jungle, Yo Betty White reviving the Golden Girls in the mid lane, with Fire Knight and Mooney like Yumi holding down the fort in the bot lane. Second Breakfast is a really interesting team to break down. On paper, it appears that Bear Rock is their hard carry, but if one of his laners shows up big, it could strike fear in a lot of teams' hearts.
Yeah, agreed. Particularly in the past, Yo Betty White has stepped up against his opponents and been able to not necessarily dominate, but hold the line, and in some occasions surprise the entire matchup. In particular, last season, he was leading in some of the CS and KDA stats for the league.
Nice. Yeah, I think this matchup is primarily about the bear in the jungle, and I don't mean volley. Bear Rock is coming off of a disappointing finals loss from last season, and will be looking to show that he has what it takes to finally host the BTL trophy. But he's going to have to land all of his late game smites, which has been a problem in the past. Acid Rabbit's entire squad looks great on paper, and they're going to prove that they're real championship contenders, and I think they're going to prove it pretty fast. Specifically, their solo laners, and I think they're going to be out for blood.
Some old wounds never heal, right, Colin?
Yeah.
From my perspective, I think the top side is going to be really volatile here. A lot of our scouting shows that Follow the Wind might be a real big sleeper, and I'm really excited to see what he has in store as a new player. And speaking of the old finals matchup, with Bear Rock included, I actually think the MVP of the finals and potentially of the playoff run of the championship team, what was it?
The Great Flash himself?
Yeah, the Great Flash himself. I think he was the MVP of their playoff run. He was able to get backline access in every game, wreak havoc on unsuspecting ADCs and mid laners. He was able to move off of his lane and just have lane dominance in pretty much every series he was in. I think if he can replicate that on a consistent basis, and that is a big if, but if he can replicate that on a consistent basis, I don't think Bear Rock has had a top laner this good to work with before. And most of the games, or most of the seasons that Bear Rock has been playing, he's had to kind of like play around his bot side, which I don't know if that's like his natural inclination. And if maybe in a world where he plays around top side and is really effective doing so, this team can go the distance with like a really strong top side that other teams just can't match.
All right, very exciting as well. It looks like there's going to be a little bit more competition on that side, and some choice words by our analysts as well. So let's get into their final matchup of this week, which is going to be Deep Dive versus Nutter Butter Scuddlers. Game will take place later today at 7 p.m. PST. Will Deep Dive plunge into the rift and drag their enemies with them, or will Nutter Butter Scuttlers nab a victory and prove to be a wise investment? Brian, what are you thinking?
Yeah, this is a really interesting match, and one I think will be like a sleeper hit for this week. First, we'll go through the teams before we get to why that is. But on Deep Dive side, they have their top lane manned by, Aurochs Frostheart. We took a bit trying to pronounce that one. Their jungle position is Lil Muffin. Mid laner is Wired. Their ADC is Jack Limestone, and rocking in support is Sky Song. This team is really interesting on paper. Jack Limestone might be the best ADC flat out, but I don't think the rest of the team are slouches either. They have a pretty balanced roster. Aurochs Frostheart can hold it down on the top side. My only big concern with this team is they might struggle putting together the pieces early on because of their lack of playmakers. They have a lot of carries, but I'm not sure if they have people that will be able to step up and make the big plays that need to happen for those carries to shine. On the Nutter Butter Scuttler side, we have top lane Green Pie, jungle Offershane, mid lane Mr. Zoidberg MD, Mr. Salty second place himself, ADC Chill Wang, and support QYi. This team is basically the opposite of Deep Dive, and I really wanted to broach this point because I think this is what makes this matchup so interesting. They have so many playmakers, but we have a lot of question marks about carries. We have a lot of players on this team like Chill Wang and Offershane that can really set up plays and give people opportunities to make the game clinching. I don't know, ADC carry fest with spitting damage everywhere. But the problem is we're not sure on the carries of this team. Colin and Will really need to step up and prove themselves this season, and if they do, this team can be a championship contender straight up. If they don't, then it'll be kind of an empty statement. They'll be making tons of plays, setting up people, but then not really having the damage dealers to clinch out games.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're championship contenders, so yeah, I mean, we've played a little bit together, and we do seem to be getting a little bit of that communication, which is good. And yeah, I think we're gonna be a strong team.
As for the matchup in this one, I think it is definitely the first game of BTL this season. It's going to be great. The unknown factor that is Jack Limestone will be something to watch for sure.
Well, we've gotten Colin opening up a little bit about what their thoughts were. I would like to swing back to the True Heart Destiny game and see if we can get maybe a little bit more insight from you, Dans, or Brian.
Well, without revealing too much, our team's been practicing. I see us as definitely being a championship contender, and our ceiling is quite high.
Yeah, I think you guys are going to be a really strong game. I think in the past, at least last season, I think Brian's team or Decadona's team was very reliant on him popping off, and I don't necessarily see that being the case for this team. I think Manbutts and Dans can also pop off and create victories that basically I don't think it's going to be Decadona on an island, which will be very helpful.
Brian, is there any insight we can glean for you? Would you like to keep the rest of it secret?
I don't know. It's kind of a given. I'm gonna smash everybody else, so. That's
Well, that's you have it, folks.
Colin laughs in discomfort looking at the calendar to see when they're playing against True Heart Destiny.
It's only too true. Too true.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, analysts, for your insight. Any last words? Any matchups that you're super excited to see?
I'm excited for week 5 now.
Yeah, I think the matchups of the week this week have got to be Good Boys versus Panic in Our Oceans and the Student Council versus Milwaukee Bucks, baby. Those are the ones that really stand out as these rivalry matches. In one, we have Ginny Rascatrug versus Chia Snacks, former champions from last season facing off against each other. And the other, we have a top lane bloodbath. Those are the ones I'm really looking forward to this week.
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to. I'm really looking forward to my own game in an hour and a half. That'll be really nice. And then outside of that, I'm actually really looking forward to the first. Oh man, I just blanked on their team names. The Executive Order versus True Heart Destiny. I actually think that's going to be a closer game than people think, and I'm really looking forward to that and seeing how well those teams play.
For me, I really want to see Acid Rabbits and Second Breakfast. I think the possibility of the Great Flash popping off and keeping his gameplay that he had at the playoffs last season is really, really exciting. And hopefully he hasn't become all rusted up from the off season.
Well, we're gonna go to our predictions. I believe we have a graphic ready to go there, and we're gonna see where we kind of land all together.
Great minds think alike.
Yep.
My.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry, gracious host.
Yeah.
as you all can tell, the analysts have much different opinions from the laymen. With the analysts all agreeing, True Heart, Milwaukee Baby, the Good Boys, Acid Rabbits, and Nutter Battle Scuttlers wrapping it up this week. For me, I think the Student Council for my team is going to do well. Panic in the Oceans are going to definitely do a lot better than I think a lot of people are going to give them credit for. And I think...
Second breakfast.
Second
I think-
Breakfast.
Second breakfast. Woo!
Yeah.
Sorry about that. That's what
Maybe
we're
you
doing
need
it
a second
live.
breakfast after that.
Yes. Second breakfast should I think they might eat that extra serving of rabbits. But it looks like a good matchup, but our analysts all have it pretty much on lockdown. How interesting.
Yeah.
For me, I would say that the Student Council and Milwaukee Bucks Baby is one of the harder matchups to predict. I think it's going to depend on execution and who's better on the day.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that one was really hard. Actually, in fact, before this call, I was trying to change my prediction to the Student Council, but we were too close to the deadline, and I didn't want to force anybody to play with the graphics. So
Let me probe a little bit more on that, Brian. What was your reasoning for switching?
I think this is a really hard matchup. There are two teams that have their focuses on opposite sides of the map, and that honestly can go either way. My biggest rationale for changing is that Ginny is a product, or Rascal Truck is a product that everybody knows about. She's won more BTLs than anybody else. She's stable as hell. But on the other hand, Weijin Pro is a total unknown who may or may not be good. He might have the impact that I'm not sure about week one if he can have the impact that he needs to push Milwaukee Bucks ahead. So I'm actually really on the fence about this one. I think that's going to be a really exciting matchup to watch.
Yeah, and I was very much on the fence about Second Breakfast and Acid Rabbits. That I actually switched my prediction about an hour before because I was Second Breakfast for a while. So we were pretty split on that. But I also think that's a really close game, and I do think that there's a really good chance that Bear Rock just comes in and smashes that game right away. He can carry super hard, so...
And sorry for any deep dive and executive order fans that we have out there, but I think those matchups, we have unanimous votes on them, and if you're fans of them, you are hoping that we are wrong.
Can't vote against our own team, Dan.
Yeah, and I can't vote against my own team. I think it's going to be close. I think all the matchups this week are actually going to be pretty close, so... If we didn't vote for you this week, there's a good chance we'll vote for you next week.
Well, very awesome. Thank you so much, analysts. And thank you all for tuning in and enjoying the Bubble Tea Time preview show. Join us next week for highlights, analysts, sketch, and special guests in the future. On behalf of the team in Bubble Tea League, hope to see you at the Rift and also at our first game tonight at 7 p.m. PST, which is about 2 hours from now, 2 hours and 40 minutes. And this is going to be Adam signing off.
So close. Hour and 40 minutes. But yes!
Yes, hour 30 minutes.
Hour 20 minutes.
Hour and 20 minutes, yeah.
There we go.
Hour 20.
It's getting closer and closer. We just can't wait.
I
It's in 5
excited.
minutes. It's in 5 minutes.
But